This week, we have been talking a little bit about taking care of our earth and how we could do that. And today, the Berenstein Bears have a book for us, and it's called The Berenstein Bears Don't Pollute Anymore. And this is written by Stan and Jan Berenstein. Papa's holding a flag. Save the earth. When Bear Country's cubs learn pollution's a fact, they help grown-ups learn to clean up their act. Well, looky here, said Papa Bear as he opened the evening news. Your friend, Professor Actual Factual's got a picture in the paper. Oh, said Brother and Sister Bear, coming to see. There's a big story, too, said Papa, and a headline. My goodness, said Mama Bear. What's it about? Leading scientists claim Bear Country is in serious trouble, he said, reading the headline. What sort of trouble? Asked Sister. Papa, who was reading the story to himself, didn't answer. What sort of trouble? Said Mama, repeating Sister's question. Oh, you know how professors are, he said. Actual factuals, making a big fuss about pollution. Well, I know how Professor Actual Factual is, said Mama, and I think he's quite sensible. So do I, said Sister. Me too, agreed Brother. Oh, he's a great guy, all right, said Papa. He's dug up some terrific dinosaur bones, and he runs a great museum. But I happen to think he's gone a little overboard on this pollution thing. I'm as much against pollution as the next fellow, he continued. I just don't think a couple of candy wrappers and a drinking cup along the side of the road is the end of the world. Besides, Bear Country's in great shape. Come on, I'll show you. He opened the door and led the family out onto the front stoop. You see, Bear Country's not only in good shape, it's downright beautiful. The rolling hills, the forests, the lakes, and the streams. And just look at that sunset. It's beautiful, all right, agreed Brother, but our science book says that some of those colors are caused by chemicals in the air that shouldn't be there. Piffle, said Papa. Say, aren't you two supposed to be doing your homework? Sister, who had just about completed her homework, finished quickly, but Brother Bear was stuck. Teacher Bob had asked him to do a report on endangered species. The books he had taken out of the school library weren't very helpful. Of course, the kind of shape Bear Country was in wasn't as simple as Papa made it seem. How Bear Country looked depended on your point of view. It looked fine from the bear's family front stoop. It even looked better if you had a bird's eye view while flying high above the earth. But if you had a squirrel's eye view and were finding fewer and fewer acorns because so many trees are being chopped down, Bear Country didn't look so fine. If you had a duck's eye view, you might think the professor was right about pollution. And if you had a fish's eye view, you might even think things were downright awful. The next day, Brother decided to visit the museum to ask Professor Actual Factual for help with his endangered species report. Sister Bear went with him. Professor Actual Factual was usually cheerful and friendly and bubbling over with ideas and projects when the cubs visited, but this time he looked worried and glum. He cheered up a bit when he saw them, but when Brother told him the purpose of his visit, to get some help with his report about endangered species, he said something very surprising. I'll tell you the endangered species to do your report on is us. We don't understand, they said. It's very simple, explained the professor. We bears and all other creatures need certain things to survive. Clean air to breathe, pure water to drink, and good soil to grow food in. If we don't do something about pollution, we're all going to become endangered species. Come, he said, you'll soon understand enough. He led them out to where the actual factual mobile was parked. It was a kind of van with all kinds of science gear in it. Then the professor took brother and sister out into bear country on a tour they would not soon forget. They went past Grizzly Gus's garage, where they saw oil leaking into the stream, getting on a duck, and killing some fish. They went past the old box factory, where they saw ugly black smoke pouring into the air. They scuba dived into the Great Bear Lake, where they saw everything from soda cans to rusty old bed springs. They saw a fish tangled in a plastic soda can holder. They cut it loose, but they couldn't rescue all the fish from all the plastic holders carelessly thrown away. They drove through the forest and saw a great many trees that had been cut down, and that not many new trees had been planted to replace them. You might speak to your dad about that, said the professor. He and his fellow woods bears should help with this problem. I think I see what you mean about becoming an endangered species, said brother, when they got back to the museum. Yes, agreed sister, but what can we do about it? Did that evening news story do much good? Asked brother to the professor. Not much, said the professor. The idea of bear countries in serious trouble because of pollution seems hard to get across. To grown-ups maybe, said sister, but we understand, and all our cub friends will too, because we're the ones who'll have to live on this messed up, polluted earth when we grow up. Professor, said brother, how does this sound? You come to our school and explain about pollution to the cubs of bear country. Maybe we can do something about it. Actual Factual was impressed. I'll give Teacher Bob a call right away and arrange it, he said. And that's what happened. The cubs were all eyes and ears as Actual Factual told them about the trouble bear country was getting into. First, he taught them about 3 important new words: ecology, conservation, and recycle. The way the professor explained it, ecology means how all creatures and plants and the earth itself work together. Conservation means not wasting the valuable things of earth, like water, oil, and metal. And recycle means finding new ways to use some of those valuable things over and over. The cubs learned quite a lot from Actual Factual, and they had some ideas of their own, too. How about a recycling program, suggested one cub. Maybe for newspapers to start, added another. Then, if it works for cans and bottles, we'll try that too. Tim Honeypot said that he would talk to his dad, Mayor Honeypot, about it. Brother Bear remembered Grizzly Gus's garage. You shouldn't be allowed to spill oil into the streams and kill the fish, he said. Babs Bruno, whose father was the chief of police, said, I'll talk to my dad. If there isn't a law against it, there ought to be. Even Too Tall helped with a great idea. My uncle owns the Super Duper Market. He could put in a bag return for reusing bags. Excellent suggestion, said the professor. And if some people don't want to follow this and cooperate, added Too Tall, me and the gang can lean on them a little. The bag return is fine, Too Tall, said Teacher Bob, but no leaning. Cousin Freddie had the best idea of all. Let's start a club to stop pollution and call it the Earth Saver Club. We'll make posters and bumper stickers and have cleanups and marches and parades. But there was still one problem. It was Papa and his fellow woods bears. That evening, brother and sister told Mama and Papa about the Earth Savers Club and all the plans for stopping pollution. Mama was very impressed. Papa was too. As I said before, I'm just as much against pollution as the next fellow. But when the cubs asked him to be sure that he and his fellow woods bears planted a new tree for everyone they cut down, he got a little grumpy. He grumped. It's hard enough to cut the trees down, with having to plant them as well. Besides, what's all the fuss about? They're just trees. My dear, said Mama, the cubs are right. The forest is a living thing, and it deserves respect. Papa was about to say piffle, but he thought better of it. The problem of conserving the forest must have been on his mind, because that night he had a dream. In the dream he was walking towards the forest to cut wood, when the trees began to sway and wave their branches. Then the branches turned into reaching, grasping arms. Then the trees climbed right out of the earth on their roots and chased him. Help! Cried terrified Papa in his sleep. The trees! They're after me! He woke up in a cold sweat. Having a nightmare? Asked Mama. Must have been something I ate, he said. Or something you heard, perhaps? She said. About trees? Piffle, he said, and turned over and tried to go back to sleep. But it wasn't going to be easy. The cubs didn't expect to solve all the problems of Bear Country's pollution, but the Earth Savers Club made a good start. The mayor declared a special holiday called the Earth Savers Day, and the cubs had a big parade. Brother and Sister Bear marched at the head with Professor Actual Factual. And some of the signs say, Earth Savers Club, help save trees, be a super duper bag returner, please. Recycle now. Pollution's a fact, so clean up your act. Be aware, be a conservation bear. Every litter bit hurts. Cubs for clean lakes and streams. A good woods bear plants a tree for every single one he cuts. No ifs, no ands, no maybes, no buts. There were many grown-ups in the parade too, including Papa Bear, who carried a sign that did not say piffle. So that's something for us all to think about, is how to keep our world clean. And the Berenstein Bears told us a way.